Cade Cunningham has had an up and down start to the season. Through 15 games, he's averaging 21.4 points per game, 3.7 rebounds per game, 7.3 assists per game, and 4.8 turnovers per game on 40.5, 32.2, 87.1 splits, and a 52 shooting percentage. The former number one pick has been very polarizing among NBA fans, given his production through 3 seasons compared to his expectations prior to the NBA. The question I have had for a while now is, how much is this on him versus how much is this on the team around him, which is what I want to talk about in this video. But quickly before we go any further, if you're new and like basketball, I'd really appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I'm notified whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the 2 best ways that can help me out in the YouTube algorithm, help support the channel, and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. Anyways, let's talk about Cade Cunningham. I want to start by talking about the team around Cade. What's very noticeable is the lack of spacing. The Pistons have attempted the least amount of 3-pointers in the NBA this season. The only majority starter they have that's been a good 3-point shooter is Isaiah Stewart. So Cade hasn't had ideal spacing around him. The other thing I believe is contributing to Cade's struggles has been the lack of secondary creation next to him. Killian Hayes has been up and down. Asar Thompson is great at everything else, but his offense as a scorer is a work in progress. You guys know I think the world of Jalen Duren, but he's not a big-time offensive creator. Really, the only creator next to Cade is Jaden Ivey, and he's just now getting starting reps. Because of the lack of creators around Cade, he's been asked to take a major offensive burden. He has a 30.8 usage rate. The next closest is Bagley Ivy at a 21.1 usage rate. Cade has had to deal with a situation where teams almost solely focus on him. He deals with blitzes on every ball screen. He's had to deal with packed paints. He has to deal with help defense whenever he touches the basketball, which I believe is a big factor in his efficiency. He's forced into tougher shots. He's forced to try and carry this team on offense, and the situation around him isn't ideal to say the least. But at the same time, he's not without his own faults either. Cade Cunningham hasn't been a good finisher. He's shooting 48.5% at the rim on 6.6 attempts per game, putting him in the 5th percentile for rim efficiency. Now, part of this is the situation around him. The lack of spacing has been a factor that can't be ignored. But he also hasn't been good as a finisher in his own right either. He's not definitive on his drives. And like I talked about in the LaMelo Ball video, being definitive on your drives can raise your effectiveness as a driver, which is why we're noticing a leap with LaMelo. But with Cade, what I've noticed on tape is the fact that he's hesitant on his drives, which is something that's been noticeable with him even before the NBA. He does have a bad whistle, which is another factor, and I don't put this all on him because of the bad whistle, lack of spacing, and lack of creation next to him, but I also don't think he's without blame either because of how hesitant he is on his drives. Now, I'm not worried about him as a shooter. According to Clean the Glass, he's in the 96th percentile on long mid-range jumper attempts, and he's shooting 40% on those type of shots, which is pretty good given the situation. From 3, he's forced into tough shots because of how much defense is focused on him, and also the fact he's been forced to take 3s to try and bring his team back that are usually 3s that you wouldn't take, but because of the situation being desperate, he's forced into them. The shooting touch is good, the form looks good, his shot versatility is good, the free throw numbers are good, so it's not really an area I'm too concerned about, even if the 3-point numbers aren't ideal. He's not afraid to shoot, he's still very confident, and has plenty of promising indicators outside of his 3-point shooting. However, a major problem with Cade has been the turnovers. He's averaging 4.8 per game with a 1.5 assist to turnover ratio. He's leading the league in turnovers and is 8th in turnover percentage. The handle has been shaky, but the thing that stood out to me more when watching him play has been the chaos in his decision making as a passer. Again, while you can attribute this to the lack of help around him, on tape, it is noticeable that it's on him as well. The accuracy on his passes is inconsistent, and he's a bit loose with his handle as well. I'm not saying he's a bad passer. He actually has elite passing intangibles. His vision and feel are off the charts. He understands his scoring gravity. He's creative as a passer. And his handle isn't awful either. I think his handle is good enough to handle primary reps. But what I see when watching him play is being a bit too ambitious on his passes and being a bit careless with his handle. Now, it's not like he's a lost cause. Again, the situation around him isn't great, and he's still young at 22 years old, so he's not perfect by any means. Having turnovers isn't something that is out of the cards when you have that high of a usage rate. I think with better spacing and creators around him, his turnover numbers would be better. But it's also noticeable on tape that he isn't without fault in these areas either. Cade Cunningham has had a season that honestly isn't shocking when you combine a player that's extremely talented but also not without flaws being forced into a high usage role with the situation around him. This is an expected result. Part of it is on the team around him not being ideal in terms of spacing and secondary creation. Part of it is on him and his own flaws. He's not without fault here. The Pistons aren't without fault here. Both of these things can be true. Cade had hype as the next big thing entering the NBA. He drew comparisons to Luka Doncic, James Harden, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the next great jumbo creating guard. A guy you can build your team around. That was the hype. I still maintain he's one of the 5 best prospects I've ever evaluated. In fact, he's actually at number 5 on my list of prospect evaluations. Although that likely will change with Cooper Flagg in the wings in a few years. But regardless, he was a special prospect. And looking back at his college and high school tape, I don't feel like I was wrong in my evaluation of him purely as a prospect based off his intangibles and the numbers, and also the fact that I still believe his floor is very high. I still think he's going to be a really good NBA player as somebody that has proven to be effective in multiple roles. Now, if I'm wrong about him in terms of NBA projections since entering the NBA, if he's not this franchise centerpiece type of player, it is what it is. It won't be the first and wouldn't be the last time I was wrong about a prospect. At the same time, I don't think the situation around him is one where we can draw a conclusion about if he's that type of talent or not. He has flaws that can't be ignored, but he also has had flashes of that franchise centerpiece type of talent. This season, 30 points and 9 assists in a close game against the Heat. 33 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists against the Bucks. 27 points and 9 assists against the Nuggets. In his rookie season, 34 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists against the Nuggets. 34 points and 6 assists against the Nets. The flashes of the guy who was the consensus top pick are there. The guy that fans of tanking teams were putting into jersey swaps all throughout the year prior to his draft. The flashes of that guy are there, but he's not perfect either. He needs to be more disciplined in terms of turnovers. The finishing is a concern. He has to get better, and I'm not ruling it out, but it is probably the one thing that holds me back from being fully confident in him reaching his ceiling. But considering what we're seeing with LaMelo, I don't think you can rule out the possibility of him getting better, especially considering that he's probably a better athlete, at least in terms of strength. Only time will tell with how good Cade becomes. I'm still confident in him because of the talent, feel, wiring, and intangibles. But he needs to get better, and so do the Pistons around him. But that's the end of this video. If you made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, haven't already, like, subscribe, hit notification bell, I'm notified whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the two best ways can help me out in the YouTube algorithm, help support the channel, and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. Let me know what you think about Cade Cunningham in the comment section below. What do you think he's at fault for? What do you think is more about the situation around him? We'll do all that down below. But with that being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.